now I want to get your thoughts on other metals in terms of being your own bank. So, what is your thoughts and your take on other stuff like gold, platinum, palladium, and even copper? What do you think about those metals?
So you can call me a medalist all you want to. I am I'm strictly a silver guy. But here's the thing I feel about copper. Copper is a good investment. Bullion grade copper is a good investment. And here's why I say that. You can go out and buy $500 worth of bullion grade copper today, and you can sell it tomorrow on Extortion Bay, which is eBay, is what I call it, Extortion Bay, or you can sell it on any other market, especially if it's a collector's piece, and you can double or if not triple your money on it. So you're still able to flip that copper bullion around. As far as gold, I'm not a big fan of it. And here's why I say that. Yeah, gold is gold. Yeah, you dig it up, and that's about it. You make jewelry with it. Yay. It doesn't have no other real purpose. We use it in computer parts once in a while nowadays. Platinum, palladium, rhodium, we use it in vehicles for the most part, but that's slowly going away. As fast as we keep moving towards the electric vehicles and solar power, silver is going to become the next king of metals. And here's the problem with that. Silver is actually becoming destroyed. Every day we get less and less silver. Even though we're mining it, the product demand in the industrial side of it is growing. Look how fast they come out with new products. Look how fast they come out with new electronics. Every month we get a new style electronic, and everybody wants it. So what happens to the old one? They throw it away. We don't recycle it. Gold we recycle. Rhodium we recycle. Palladium Rhodium we recycle. Palladium we recycle. All those other metals we recycle. We do not do that with silver. So that's why I'm hardcore silver.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that all the metals they have the same supply, right? Like we do mine them out of the ground, so the supply sources, the supply chains, there are differences, right? Like a copper mine is a way bigger operation than like a gold or a silver mine. But basically, they're very similar to each other in terms of supply chains, the suppliers, and all those things. But the demand for all of those metals is very different, right? And I think that that's what affects its potential for growth. It affects its price point, and it affects what it can do for you as your own bank. So once again, I do stack gold and I do stack copper, and I have a little bit of platinum as well. So for me, like, I see it a little bit differently, but that's one of those things where you're your own bank. You're in control. You can do
That's
how
right.
you see fit, So that is another one of the wonderful benefits of it. So you don't have a bank telling you what the rules are. You make the rules. So that's a
Exactly.
very good. All right. One other thing I wanted to say about about the metals is like, uh, so silver has a lot of industrial demand, right? And as you mentioned, the types of things that it's used in, the electronics and all these different things. Um, I think that copper also has similar potential. Copper is so gold is seen as like the big monetary metal and the investment metal. Platinum, palladium, rhodium, all the platinum group metals, they're kind of a step down from that. They're also very rare. But they're not really seen that much as a monetary metal, mostly industrial. I feel like the perception, at least my perception of silver, is that it's kind of half and half. It's like an all-around metal. It's a investment in monetary metal, and it also has all of these really unique properties, and there's a lot of investment demand for it. And then copper, I feel like, is almost like purely strictly an industrial metal, but it has also been used as a monetary metal throughout history. I feel like a lot of the demand that you talked about for silver in the coming future, um, it's the same for copper. Um, Electric vehicles, a lot of people say that electric vehicles will be the reason that platinum is going to get devalued, but it depends on what kind of electric vehicle we're talking about. If you're talking about a hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle, which is all growing, those hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, there were 10 hydrogen fuel cell tractor trailers that Hyundai Motors exported to, I believe it was Denmark, and there are hydrogen fuel cell stations popping up all over this country. And the government is offering incentives to people to buy hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. Um, there's a catalyst in hydrogen fuel cell, which is basically another type of electric vehicle, which uses platinum as well. So if we move toward that, platinum is not the end just because it's not being used in an internal combustion engine. And as well, even the vehicles that do not have a hydrogen fuel cell, just the electric vehicles that you just charge, right? They have copper foils in the EV batteries. So, and this is huge. This is really, there's a lot of money getting poured into this. Look at Tesla's stock price, and not just their stock price, because that could just be pure speculation, right? But look at what they're actually doing. They just built a manufacturing facility in Shanghai. They're trying to take over some of the old GM manufacturing facilities here in Korea. They're talking about building a manufacturing facility in Germany and another one in the United States. So this is real. And I know that I brought up the example of Hyundai exporting those tractor trailers, hydrogen fuel cell tractor trailers. I live here in Korea. Hyundai Motors, Kia Motors, they're making every year they announce new electric vehicles, and I believe this is definitely going to be a huge demand driver for silver and copper in the future. So I could be totally wrong. We will see.
No, I think you're right about that, because even here in the States, I mean, man, the combustion engines have been around for what, 150 plus years?
Yeah.
So when you look at technology, innovation has been stifled all around the world, and it's just now starting to come around. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think those particular metals, they're going to have their heyday, and I think it's going to come sooner than later now, because people are starting to wake up. The younger generation, the millennials, as they call them, they're smart enough to know, hey, there's a better way. We can do things better, more efficient. So I think we have a bright future ahead of us on the metals market.
Right. It's interesting that you bring up the generational thing, because the previous generation, I hope nobody gets offended by this term. I don't know if this is offensive or not, but I don't mean any disrespect, but baby boomer generation, right? They're like retiring now, and they have been kind of responsible for creating the most wealth, I think, in human history, and they have it, it's theirs. And the millennial generation is kind of like saddled with debt, right? And how many recessions have we seen in the past, 10, 15, 20 years in the US alone? And so I think that the millennial generation, a lot of them are really uh, attuned to the situation of debt and personal finance and things like this. I do see a lot. I mean, there's a channel called Millennial Stacker on YouTube. I think he's from Canada, and there are a lot of younger folks who are just getting into it. And I think, you know, they've all had a sense that the system is rigged against them, and they're looking for a way out. So, hopefully this discussion will help to get them to think about becoming their own bank, and potentially one way that they can help themselves a little bit. So yeah, that's definitely a good thing, I think.
Agreed. Well, think of it like this right here. Like what you just said, the baby boomer generation is the wealthiest generation in America. The millennial generation has been saddled with all of the debt. Because what happens with debt? You keep kicking it down the road. Like my generation, our debt is going to be kicked onto our children and our grandchildren. And what's going to happen to them when that dollar, that when I pass away and I leave my wealth to them? The bank's going to take their cut, the government's going to take their cut, and God knows who else is going to take their cut. But if I'm my own bank and I can teach my children about how my bank works, the bank of me, the bank of Silver Conundrum, well, guess what? There's no taxes on bullion yet. I do put that word out there, yet. When I pass on, and I can leave all of my silver and all of my precious metals to my kids and my wife, they don't have to pay all that inheritance tax that takes almost 40 to 60% of what you leave them. So they get everything you worked hard for your entire life, you broke your back for, you sweated, you bled, you drove to work tired and come home tired. You leave that to your children. You give them a physical asset that they can use. And if you can teach them how the bank of you works, then guess what? You just created another banking system and generational wealth, as you called it earlier in the first video. You're able to pass that your bank onto them, and now they can become financially free. And hopefully they'll teach your grandkids, and it will continue on. And that generational wealth and that generational knowledge can continue on through your entire bloodline until the end of time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. I mean, doing it for yourself, you have to take care of yourself first, and then you take care of your family, and then it can continue on for generations. I had made a video not too long ago about like why I stack, and in it I do talk about like my kids and stuff, and I had so many interesting responses on that video, and one of the people who left a comment, they asked me, what would you do if you had a stack and you had nobody to pass it on to? No kids, no family, whatever. So I'll tell you my answer, and maybe while I'm talking, you might, if you don't have one already, you can kind of think about what you might do. But how I responded was, first of all, I would make sure that I had everything legally taken care of. Because if you're gone and there's nobody on your behalf to see where that stack goes, then you're going to have somebody who's legally obligated to do it. So that would be the first thing. And the next thing I would do would be to, before I pass away, right, if I know that I don't have anyone to give it to, I would keep some on me at all times. And when I'm going around in life, when I find somebody who's exceptional or worthy, I would give them a piece of bullion and explain to them, and try to spread the word, and give knowledge to other people about what it means to become your own bank and what it means to hold a piece of physical bullion. Try to share it, because then you're passing it on to, let's say that happened to me when I'm a kid, and then I do it, and then I do pass that on to my children. It's like it spreads to so many different people, even if they're strangers, right? It's okay, because you can positively make an impact in the world. So that would be one thing. And then, if depending on the size of the stack, after I'm gone, I would say whatever is left over, I would donate it towards a cause that I believed in personally. So, whatever it may be, and I would just request one thing in return, even if they don't use my name, just how the donation was made, right? With physical bullion. I would request that, that would be the only recognition that's necessary. So that way, that message continued to be passed on. So that was my answer to the person. So, but what do you think? What should someone do if they have nobody to pass their bank on to?
It's ironic you asked that question, because my wife and I was talking about this probably about 3 or 4 months ago. So here's what she and I talked about. We talked about a worst case scenario. If something happened to the family and only one of us was to survive, our thought process was exactly, man, it's almost like you read my mind as you're saying it. I'm thinking, man, I'm going to be a copycat, son of a gun. But we actually, I kid you not, we talked about that. So we actually talked about going to schools. Like, it doesn't matter what school it is, but just doing open forums in schools and having our silver broke down into smaller denominations where we can get out to more people and actually educate as much as we could and give children like a little half ounce piece. This way it opens their eyes. And I remember as a kid what it was like when I found that piece on the beach. I remember to this day I still remember what it was like. When I gave my daughter her first piece of silver and my son his first piece of silver, I still remember the look in their eyes when they looked at it, they held it. It was a look in just of awe. That's all I can say. It was just that the look of stars in their eyes, man, because they instantly knew what it was. You didn't have to tell them; they knew. They knew it was something of value.
Right.
And if you can, like what you said, if you can spread that across the board with as many people as possible, you have already succeeded. With even one person, you've met a life goal. You changed a life, even if it's one. And if you're lucky, you might get two. But who knows? But that is something she and I actually talked about doing. Because once we're gone, we're gone. You can't take it with you.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Exactly.
so like I said, we actually planned on, if we know we're on our final days, we know we're going to already have everything paid off and we're going to have everything we need financially in the bank. Anything extra, we actually planned on just giving it to the kids or just in our general travel. Go to our local schools, go to other surrounding community schools, and just educate children and adults alike. And invite anybody who's willing to listen and just educate. Because that's what I do now anyway. I literally talk to my community on a daily basis in my everyday interaction. I talk to people about it. I explain to them what it is. The lady at McDonald's in some of my previous videos, as a matter of fact, the one I did today, stuff like that. I try everything in my power to educate people, to help them. Because if you help somebody and you can help them better themselves, you make this world a better place one person at a time. And if you don't start at the top, start at the ground level. You build a foundation, and you work from there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, I don't think it's worth, bickering over politics and stuff like that. I mean, people are scared of that word and stuff like that, and but I don't think it's worth bickering over because it's not really gonna make a difference anyway in the long run. If you really want to make a difference, just start in your community, man. Just like you said, that's where you can really make a difference is what's around you, and that's what you can control. So it makes no sense to argue with other folks about stuff that really in the long run you're not going to have any ability to change. So and another point is that you mentioned about like educating people and stuff, and I don't know about you, but I don't remember learning about personal finances. I mean, I went all the way through university and stuff, and for formal education, I never learned anything about that. The only education I got was through personal experience of paying off debt. So, like,
Wow.
having that other perspective from another human being, you don't have to be a certified teacher to give somebody a valuable lesson, right? You can just be a nice person and do it out of the kindness of your heart. So, and once again, if we're comparing ourselves to like commercial banks, right? They do try to educate people about their products and services as well. Hey, we got this loan program or whatever it is. Small businesses, you can apply for this or whatever, right? Get this credit card, get that kind of account, blah blah blah. So that I think that is also part of becoming your own bank is trying to educate other people about that. So I think that's what we're doing in this video and doing a great job.
I certainly would like to think so.
All right, man. Well, this has been a really interesting and eye-opening discussion, and I've learned a few things, and I'm hoping that people who watch this series, they learned a few things, and hopefully they can leave their comments with their thoughts about becoming their own bank, and if they have anything to add or any other perspectives, please leave it in the comment section. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to Silver Conundrum and Expat Stacker. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, cool. Yeah.